Hi everyone and welcome to this video. Thank you so much for being here. This video is actually part of a series where we explore body informed resiliency. And body informed resiliency is a technique I created for relaxation and to promote physiological resiliency, body-based resiliency. A lot of times when you hear the term resiliency, it's about reframing obstacles or challenges mentally to see them as opportunities. And of course, that's super duper important, right? But a lot of times, because our default setting is in the sympathetic nervous system, which is fight or flight, the stressors that are coming at us all the time now, we can have a sympathetic nervous system overload, right? Which is, even though things can be going okay mentally, we're stressed in the body, right? So body informed resiliency addresses that. And it does it by toning the ventral branch of the vagus nerve primarily. A quick overview of the vagus nerve. There's a lot of information out there about it. I'll try and simplify it for you here. It is the longest nerve in the body. It's cranial nerve 10, starts in the brain stem and goes, it winds, it means wandering, vagus in Latin. It innervates or gives nerve endings to the face, the throat, the heart and lungs, and it ends in the intestines. So if you can imagine it just wandering down through those areas. It has two branches. It has the ventral branch, which is the front branch, and the dorsal branch, like a dorsal fin. By toning the ventral branch, toning here equivalent to toning a muscle. So high vagal nerve tone is like high muscle tone. It's a good thing. So we tone it by doing exercises that kind of work backwards. It helps to tone it, or I like to say cultivate it or activate it to come online in the autonomic nervous system. And what that means is it helps to bring the parasympathetic nervous system into the fore. So like I said, default setting for us is sympathetic. The fight or flight is generally a little activated. And that's a good thing because it helps to keep us alert. It helps to keep us moving through our day to get things done. But because there's so many external stressors, right? That system, that part of the nervous system gets overworked. And what we want to do is bring the parasympathetic, which is rest and digest, right, into the fore and help just equalize the nervous system, reset it. It's also called regulate it. So that's a lot of science. You're probably like, I'm stressed now because that's too much information. You can just set that aside because what we're going to do next is diaphragmatic breathing, which is a glorious, wonderful thing. And it is really a fast track to resetting your nervous system. It's a great way to learn how to breathe, and it will really help you to feeling better in your body and knowing how to do that quickly. I like to call body informed resiliency a technique you can do in any chair, almost anywhere. You can certainly do it if you are working from home. If you work in an office, maybe there's a quiet place you can go and do these exercises. So we'll start with diaphragmatic breathing and go from there. So thank you so much again for being here. I really appreciate it. And hit the subscribe button if you're interested in this work. And also set notifications so that when we're releasing new videos as part of this series and new videos in general. So thank you so much and enjoy Body Informed Resiliency. So let's do a few of the exercises. I've divided it into several different areas. We do face work, trunk work, mouth work, and diaphragmatic breathing. And diaphragmatic breathing is like, if you learn nothing else, let us learn diaphragmatic breathing, because it is just such a beautiful thing to know. You can do it anytime. It really is anywhere, any chair. And you can also do it while you're going to sleep at night, especially if you can't sleep. And it will very quickly get that nervous system into a regulated state. So, having said that, let's start with diaphragmatic breathing. So, what you want to do is take your thumbs and find your ribs, the lowest ribs in your back area. And it doesn't have to be the absolute ones. You'll find where your ribs more or less stop, right? And you want to put your thumbs there, taking your other four fingers around the front. So you have your hands on your hips, but it's way up high, right? So get a feel here of your rib cage. You feel that? Now, when you inhale, you want, and if you'll watch closely these first couple rounds, you want to have your arms flare out and up a little bit. So watch this inhale. You'll go inhale. Do you see how they flared out and up a little bit? And then that's on the inhale. On the exhale, you just allow them to fall back in. But really what you're feeling here are your ribs moving out and up. So inhale. Feel those ribs moving, flaring out, going up just a little bit to try to keep it out of your shoulders, and then exhale. Yeah. So now close your eyes, and I like to close my eyes because it's easier to feel the movement. So inhale, feeling that movement out, and then exhale, let it fall back in. When you're ready, you can move your hands away if you feel like you have it. Another thing to feel here is that when you inhale, notice how deeply you can inhale. Don't hurt yourself, obviously, but really deeply filling up the lungs as those ribs flare out. You can take sips here if you want, and then exhale. Continue to play with that for just a couple more rounds, seeing how deeply you can bring oxygen in and let those ribs flare out. Exhale. What's so great about this is you breathe with our diaphragm. You allow a lot more oxygen into your lungs than if you just breathe in your chest. Also, what it does is, by really breathing with the diaphragm, which most of the time we don't do, the diaphragm, when the lungs flare out and go up, the diaphragm pushes down on to your intestines and gives them a massage. By doing that, it gets that ventral branch of the vagus nerve in a good way, and it increases the tone of the ventral branch of the vagus nerve. So more oxygen, you can probably feel that, right? It's more relaxing, and it massages the intestines and tones that ventral branch. So do this a few more rounds. What you may find, hopefully, is that it's getting easier. And in part, it's because the diaphragm is a muscle, but you also have muscles between your ribs, the intercostal muscles. And I like to think of this as actually warming up those muscles from the inside out. So notice if they were more tight at the beginning and now it seems to be getting a little easier. So just a couple more rounds here. Nice. And then release. So diaphragmatic breathing. Rewind this video, go back to where we started on diaphragmatic if you would like to go more deeply with this or continue on with it. But really practicing this guy. I like to do it at night, especially if I can't sleep. I'm a side sleeper. If you are as well, it works really well on the side. You know, you lay on one side and you play with it on the other side, but you can really feel that other lung, because you're isolating it, sort of flare out and up, and then turn over and do the other side. And I feel like side sleeping is the best way to experience it. You can certainly do it, I guess, laying on your back, more isolating, but you won't feel the lungs filling up on the back body. And on your back, your lungs are about 60% of your back. So there's a lot of your lungs in the back. Diaphragmatic breathing is just because we're sitting so much, our side body kind of shrinks, it collapses a little bit. That's why core work is so important. Even if you're holding in your core, it's still a little more collapsed than if you're standing, right? Because you've got gravity working against you in this respect. And so it's great to just practice using the diaphragm to breathe, because it is such a deep way of breathing. And a lot of times when we're told take a deep belly breath, belly breathing is actually something different. And you can isolate that right now if you just want to put your right hand on your belly and you can do your left hand over your right. Just breathe into your belly. Inhale and exhale, right? You see how that's a little bit different than if you isolate your ribs. So, right? Now, a deep belly breath is going to be more relaxing. You know, take a deep breath than some of these more shallow breaths. You know, when if you're doing them like that, especially if you get quite anxious, the belly breathing will help you out there. And because parts of the lungs are all connected, eventually by breathing in one area, unless it's completely shutting down the other parts, you will breathe with the others. But by focusing on that diaphragmatic breathing, you're going to get a lot more oxygen into your lungs, and you're going to have that benefit of, because the ventral branch innervates the lungs as well, the more you're breathing with the lungs, the more you're going to get that higher vagal tone, and you're also going to get it from massaging your viscera. So it's a really great thing, and I call all of these techniques really tools for empowerment. There are ways you can reset your state of being just by doing these exercises, and you don't have to go to the gym or you don't have to go to a yoga class. You just do them right there. So, okay, that wraps up the diaphragmatic breathing part of Body Informed Resiliency. Thanks so much for being here for that. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications to be notified about the other parts of the Body Informed Resiliency video series. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you next time.